My name is Lil Pump.
Ever since the release of Gucci Gang back in August of 2017, it didn't take long for Lil Pump to become one of the most prominent names in the SoundCloud rap game, using his eccentric look and hyper-energetic style to build a massive fan base. Regardless of what you may think of the rapper though, there's no doubt that he's been able to make millions over his lucrative career, allowing him to buy a selection of the strangest items possible. But what are some of these stupidly expensive things that Lil Pump has come to own, and have these purchases been made to solidify him as the biggest name in SoundCloud rap? Well, whether you're a fan of the lyrical maestro or just want to know more about his unconventional taste, stay right where you are, as we're about to explore everything there is to know about the costliest things he has bought over the years. So strap yourselves in and get ready for some jealousy, as things are about to get interesting. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on, so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post.
Interact with us. Subscribe and hit the notification button to be notified when we upload more content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment down below. Thanks.
Number 1. His eccentric ring collection. First up on his list is an item, or rather collection of items, that can be found on Lil Pump's person. We are, of course, talking about his incredible ring collection, which has been known to run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. You see, the rap game hasn't changed much over the years in respect of the look that rappers have been known to portray. The musical style has always revolved around the story of making it big after growing up in squalor, causing the content of tracks to usually focus on the wealth of the artist dropping his bars. And if you want to rap about being wealthy, it goes without saying that you need to ice yourself out and look the part. This is precisely what Lil Pump admitted to when discussing his ring collection with GQ, stating that they don't really mean anything, but look fire when worn out on the town. The very first pair that Pump went to show off on the popular On the Rocks show was his ribbed rings, which when worn give the impression of an indented rather than smooth appearance. This is due to the fact that the pair, while made of gold and platinum respectively, were eventually bedazzled with diamonds of a color matching their respective background. In other words, large yellow diamonds cover the golden ring, while clear white diamonds cover the platinum version. Crazily enough, the diamonds inserted in this way are actually so large that they end up penetrating the very band of the ring, allowing them to shine through the inside when taken off. Considering the sheer size and production cost of jewelry such as this, it won't surprise you to hear that Lil Pump ended up paying around $60,000 for the pair of them, but that's not where the SoundCloud rapper's collection ends. He also went on to show an impressive star ring, which he has rocked on a few red carpets in the past few years. Made entirely out of white gold and sporting a gigantic surface area, the ring was modified by having smaller diamonds installed to increase the overall shine of the piece. This single ring ended up costing Lil Pump approximately $17,000, with an even larger version that he owns costing him even more at $25,000. Last but not least, the artist brought out a half-moon ring, which was also decked out in intricate diamonds, explaining that it looks similar to the one he ended up losing, costing around $11,000. Simply put, this means that the ring collection shown off by the star is worth approximately $112,000, which is more than an average car. And it's not like this is his entire ring collection either, as the above just consisted of what he was wearing on that specific day. In fact, experts estimate that the entirety of his ring collection is probably worth a ballpark figure of around $300,000. As we mentioned earlier though, this is understandable, considering the overall aesthetic of rappers currently in the rap game. Number 2. His impulse buy at the Lamborghini dealership. Another thing that is clear from the spending habits of Lil Pump is the fact that he has a bit of a problem when it comes to impulse buying. Like many rappers who came from nothing to be graced with fame and fortune, the Gucci Gang rapper has been known to blow a significant amount of his net worth on a whim. A great example of this can be seen when he decided to buy a white Lamborghini Murcielago for around $250,000, only to return it a grand total of 2 weeks later. This is absolutely mind-boggling, considering just how much value a motor vehicle uses when it goes from being new to being used. Regardless of how much the rapper drove drove the vehicle, it would no longer be able to be sold as new, and as such, would have dipped in value by an exorbitant amount. This is why many celebrities first test a vehicle before buying it. In fact, some stars have even been known to rent exotic vehicles such as this for a couple of weeks at a time to ensure that the big purchase would do them good. Not Lil Pump though. He decided to put his money where his mouth was, and while we don't officially know just how much this impulse buy and return must have cost him at the end of the day, experts have estimated that this could have been as much as $50,000 in the hole. Considering that is basically the same as Pump taking 50 grand out, dipping it in gasoline, and then setting it on fire, there's no doubt that this can be said to have been a stupidly expensive purchase. Number 3. His eccentric pump piece pendant. If there's one thing not many musical artists can do, it's pulling off wearing a miniature version of themselves around their neck. When it comes to Lil Pump, this is precisely the type of eccentricity that made him famous in the first place. So, without further ado, allow us to introduce you to one of the most expensive pendants that Lil Pump owns, known solely as his Pump Piece Pendant. Being a lover of the cartoon known as the Boondocks, Lil Pump decided to have a pendant made for himself that would encapsulate his love for the show, but at the same time, he also wanted to pay homage to himself, which is why he got an artist to design a cartoon version of himself that matched the style of the Boondocks. He then took this design to his jeweler, who he commissioned to bring the image to life in the form of a pendant. This resulted in the image being laser cut from white gold, which, after it was decked out from literal head to toe in white diamonds of every sort, the detail of the piece is immaculate, from the dreads on its head to the teeth found in its smirking mouth. In fact, both the eyes and teeth of the piece are in the form of baguettes, and while this may cause you to think of freshly made French loaf, this is actually a specific cut of diamond which is pretty large. Upon closer inspection, you'll also find hints of rose and yellow gold in the dreads of the piece, as at the time of designing it, Lil Pump had blonde dreads. Last but not least, the jewelers at Icebox went on to include the infamous face tats that the SoundCloud rapper has become famous for, ensuring that the pendant looked as much like him as possible. The pendant was then connected to a loop through which a pretty thick chain was able to be slid. Good thing too, as the chain shown off by Lil Pump on the GQ on the Rock show was incredibly thick and decked out in hundreds of diamonds. It must be said that Lil Pump has never expressly indicated just how much he ended up paying for his Pump Piece pendant, but experts on the case have estimated that the pendant on its own is probably worth around $360,000 in total. Include the chain in this little sale, and you have an overall price of around $400,000, which is most certainly within the realm of being stupidly expensive. But at the same time, how many rappers can say they have a bejeweled version of themselves around their own necks, right? Number 4. His Bentley Coupe. Having found himself without a Lamborghini after that crazy little adventure of his a few years back, Lil Pump decided to make another car purchase, but this time he seemed to have learned from his mistake, first riding over to the dealership with the intention of testing things out. And it's a good thing too, as he ended up setting his eyes on a beautiful Bentley Coupe, which came in at a plastering value of $350,000. Immediately upon arriving back home, Pump went on to post a video of himself with the car in the background, informing his fanbase that it would be his last car purchase in a very long time. It looked like in just a few months he had matured greatly, but we still wonder how long this little agreement of his is going to last. Number 5. His $1 million mansion. Last but not least, with more than a few $1 million to his name, Lil Pump decided to make the biggest purchase of his life by taking on a massive $4.6 million waterfront mansion in Miami. This 5,100 square foot home has some spectacular views of the Biscayne Bay area and has been described by many as the ideal party pad. The residence comes packed with 5 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, a designer kitchen, living wall, and 3rd-story terrace that is perfect for sundowners on a daily basis. The home is surprisingly minimalist for someone like Pump, with the kitchen showing signs of Italian design with African wood detailed throughout. Take one step outside and you'll find an impressive living area a short distance away from the crystal clear pool, all brought together with a garden complete with smart grass. Suffice to say, the millionaire rapper must have had a pretty great quarantine period last year. But what do you think of these stupidly expensive things Lil Pump has bought over the years? Feel free to let us know in the comments section down below.